manifesting hoodie weather. That's what we're doing. We are manifesting hoodie weather with wearing this. It was cooler because it's the end of September, so it's time to talk about the books we're excited about for the rest of the year. Unfortunately, kind of like what September was, I don't have a lot for December, but I will separate per month, and this list is going to be more fantasy heavy than our regular Monday ones. But every Monday, if you come back, subscribe, stay tuned, we do the books that come out each week that is a more variety of genres. But we will go ahead and get into the books of October, because October's a little heavy and November's got a few, and then December's so pitiful. I'm sorry. We'll try to come back for December. I think I said that before. Oh well, I'm Morgan. If this is your first video here, thank you for clicking. I hope you enjoy it, and let's talk about some books. Probably should have put this in the beginning, but things are probably going to be mispronounced. I'm very sorry for that. I will try my best, but I'm still probably going to mispronounce things. Starting on October 3rd, though, we have Night of the Witch by Sarah Rosh and Beth Rivas. This is a YA fantasy. When I first read the description, I did not immediately get the YA vibes. This is slight historical fantasy or alternate reality kind of, because, you know, witches. And it does take place in a pastiche part of Germany who's Rhineland? No, that's right. It is actually a specific part that it has this name, and I have seen it before and I've said it before, and I can't remember what it is right now. But part of it does take place in the Black Forest though, so that gives you kind of an area determination, which I thought was really cool to have it set there and that sort of thing. And the cat is now choosing to go eat, so if you hear crunching in the background, that is Sunshine the pig cat. This is going to be a duology too, which I also like. That is, yeah, I'm starting to feel the mood for duologies. That way it's not too long. We get our conclusion. Okay, too long. Fritzi is a witch, the lone survivor of a brutal attack on her coven. She is determined to find her only remaining family member and bring the Hexenjägers, zealot witch hunters, to justice for the lives they ended. To do this, she will need to take down their leader, the merciless and enigmatic Commandant Dieter Kirch. Otto is a Hexenjäger, but that's just his cover. Years ago, the Hexenjägers burned his innocent mother alive, and he has been plotting his revenge against the people who tore apart his family ever since. And now the time has come for them to pay for what they've done. When Fritzi and Otto are unexpectedly thrown together, neither is sure they can trust the other. The reluctant truce fueled by their common enemy takes them from the city at the heart of the Hexenjägers' power to the wild and mysterious Black Forest. As old truths come to light and new dangers are revealed, Fritzi and Otto uncover a horrifying magical plot at the center of the Hexenjäger attacks that lead back to Commandant Kirch. But their own growing feelings for each other may be the most powerful magic of all. Because of course it is. That is probably going to be the YA aspect more than the most of it. I don't know. I will find out soon though. And I think I'm going to do a video review for it. Then, also coming out on the 3rd is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This is supposed to be a modern gothic fantasy tale about... Opal is a lot of things: orphan, high school dropout, full-time cynic, and part-time cashier. But above all, she's determined to find a better life for her younger brother Jasper. One that gets them out of Eden, Kentucky, a town remarkable for only two things: bad luck and E. Starling, the reclusive 19th century author of Underland who disappeared over 100 years ago. All she left behind were dark rumors and her home. Everyone agrees that it's best to ignore the uncanny mansion and its misanthropic heir, Arthur. Almost everyone, anyway. I should be scared, but in the dream, I don't hesitate. Because Opal, of course, has been obsessed with this house and this book for forever. This one, I'm pretty sure, is going to be the book for one of the boxes, one of the adult fantasy boxes in September. I've forgotten which one now. But it's coming in one of them. 90% certainty on that. Moving into, though, October 10th, we have a sequel book that I'm excited for. This one is an urban fantasy. It is Long Past Dues by James J. Butcher. This one, y'all, it is the sequel to Dead Man's Hand that came out last year, following Grimshaw, Griswold, Grimsby. Why? He is a kind of failed magician because not so much he lacks talent. Well, you know, it makes it hard to have talent when you can't control your magic because of a childhood injury. because I think he tried a spell that was too strong or something. And so he has problems controlling the flow of his magic because of his injury, which makes everything harder, which makes his goal of becoming an auditor, what was it called again? An auditor with the magical defense forces, all that much harder because, of course, you can't control it. And thus he works at a kids fast food kind of place. Not exactly a Chuck E. Cheese, a Donald's Dynasty Wonderland. It has a magical castle. Oh my God, I will never ever forget the taco fairy though, of where he had to be the taco fairy for a kids party. It was awesome. Oh my gosh. In this one though, it is the sequel to that, and he has actually become an auditor, and now he's having to solve cases of magical mischief and doing that sorts of stuff. So I'm not gonna say too much about it because it is the sequel. In the first one though, he's having to clear his own name because he is accused of killing his mentor. Yeah, by the department and by her old partner. So he ends up working with the old partner to clear his name and find the real culprit. And wow, the level of, yes. So I really liked it. I really, really liked that one. Moving on to a new one that is the adult debut for this author, right? Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the other one was going to be the Owl Crate, because this, I believe, is going to be the Fairy Loot. Or is this the November Fairy Loot? I don't know. It's Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I don't really remember the description, so I'm going to read it. In the vibrant city-state of Castelline, the richest of nobles and the most debauched of criminals have one thing in common: the constant search for wealth and power and the next hedonistic thrill. Cale is an orphan, stolen from the life he knew to become the Swordcatcher, the body double of a royal heir, Prince Connor Aurelian. He was raised alongside the prince, trained in every aspect of combat and statecraft. He and Connor are as close as brothers, but Cale knows that his destiny is to die for Connor. No other future is possible, unless nobody attempts to kill the prince. Swordcatcher now makes sense because he's supposed to catch, swords that are destined to, kill the prince. It's whatever. Lancaster is one of the Ashkar, a small community whose members still possess magical abilities. By law, they must live behind walls within the city, but Lynn, a physician, ventures out to tend to the sick and dying of Castelline. Despite her skills, she cannot heal her best friend without access to forbidden knowledge. After a failed assassination attempt brings Lynn and Cale together, they are drawn into the web of mysterious Ragpicker King, the criminal ruler of Castilian's underworld. He offers them each what they most want, but as they descend into his world of intrigue and shadow, they discover a conspiracy of corruption that reaches from the darkest gutters of Castelline to the highest tower of its palaces. Alright then, we shall see how that goes. And then, another YA fantasy for the 10th is The Night Hunt by Alexander Christino. Atia is a monster who feeds on fear. As the last of her kind, she hides in the shadows of the world to escape the wrath of the unpredictable gods. Salus is a herald, carrying messages and ferrying the dead as punishment for a past he can't remember. Stripped of his true name, he yearns to recover his identity. Atia would never dream of allying with someone like him, but when she breaks a sacred law and the gods send monsters to hunt her, Salus offers an irresistible deal. He'll help her avenge her family and take on the gods who now hunt her if she helps him break his curse and restore his humanity. All they need to do is kill 3 powerful creatures, a vampire, a banshee, and one of the very gods who destroy their lives. Only together can they rewrite their destinies. I almost said reveal. Rewrite their destinies. So that one sounds promising. Then on the 17th, we have another duology conclusion, and this is Two Twisted Crowns, right? Yes, by Rachel Gilling. See, I knew this was just going to be a duology, and yes, it is confirmed. Just a duology. In this one, our main character, Elspeth, has to handle the consequences of what happened in the first book of her actions and decisions, which is interesting that the description says that, considering how the first book ended. I'm really wondering how that's going to play out, but okay. In the first book, though, we follow Elspeth Spindle in the Kingdom of Blunder. This is a kingdom that is surrounded by a magical mist. They are cut off from the rest of the world, and in it we have a tarot card-like magic system, as there are these deck of cards, and this is the only magic that is acceptable. Because when you're little, you can get sick with a fever that comes from the spirit of the wood, and with this, she will grant you magic. Unfortunately, it's banned and outlawed, and you will be murdered if you have magic. Mostly, I mean, I kind of get it, because a lot of the cases are extreme. Their bodies deteriorate or their minds deteriorate. They can't control the things happening. But yeah, murdering of children. However, Elspeth has a secret. She caught the fever and she did gain power. But her aunt protected her, and also they don't exactly know she has it. She just seemed to recover from the fever as normal. And with this, though, she can sense the cards. She can sense when they're near, what they do. So she is recruited by a gang of highwaymen to help collect all the cards to banish the spirit of the mist and save the kingdom of Blunder. Because obviously, things have been going wrong. Centuries of being surrounded and cut off from the world by mist. It is slowly encroaching. Of course, they have food shortages, but the nobles, live it up. So much food, so much, yeah. Is this a YA? Well, weirdly, the first one came in a YA box. It did read YA, but the second one is not listed under YA in a lot of its descriptions. So, wondering if it will be, different. I don't know. Also on the 17th is actually not fantasy. It's a cozy mystery called The Nutcracker Nightmare, which I probably will try to read in Christmas. I don't know, because it says it takes place at a homecoming, but it looks snowy, and there's a nutcracker on the cover, obviously. This one, though, it does come after, but probably you could read them separate. Like with most cozies, you'll just miss some details. Following twins, what are their names? Hannah and Alex, as they are the owners of Murder and Mayhem Bookshop and Candy, because one twin makes the chocolates and the desserts and everything, and the other one kind of runs the bookshop. And I just love their dynamic. They had to solve a case in the first one where one of their oldest patrons and a friend and member of their book club came in, and well, she'd kind of been wrong before, but she said, "There's a murderer living in our town. I saw it on this podcast thing that I watch, and I put the pieces together." And yeah, then she dies. But because she'd been wrong, nobody actually had believed her at first. But then she dies in a kind of almost would have been normal, except it didn't look quite natural sort of way, And of course, our main character, oh, Kitty. Was it Alex? I think Alex was the one that was accused of it. And she had to clear her name and investigate stuff. I liked it. I thought it was really cute. And it was cozy. And I actually did not pick out who the person was. It wasn't. Okay, now for our honorable mentions, because these are ones that I'm not particularly excited about because mostly I haven't read the others in this series. Or, well, one of them I have. Wait, why are these two in honorable mentions? Okay, the first two, one I did not put the day it came out, but the first one coming out is an honorable mention because I can't really say too much of the description. It's Secret Project 4 that comes out on the 1st for those that back the Kickstarter, or probably the 11th for everybody else, because that's generally when it's been. It's been coming out the 11th of the month. It's the last of the Secret Project books. I'm excited for that one. The other one is Dirty 30 by Janet Ivanovich. I'm caught up on this one. I don't really remember why I put it in honorable mention. I guess because it is like the 30th in the series, and it just, lots of people have probably heard about it. Yeah, okay. We will move on from that, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I should talk about it. I don't know. But it follows our favorite bumbling bounty hunter, Stephanie Plum, as she is, solving things. October 3rd, Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This one has to go in honorable mentions because I have not caught up on that series. Though this is supposed to be a standalone adult fantasy, whereas the others were YA. This one's adult. So that's going to be different, seeing how that dynamic plays out, where what's going to be different in her writing style for YA versus adult. This one I think is following Prince of Envy, though, as it takes place still in the same world, just separated from that. Then, also on October 3rd, we have The Shield Maiden by Sharon Emmerichs. This one, so many people are probably going to love. It's probably going to get great reviews. But literary fiction has not been, that's not me really, especially historical literary. And also, I just didn't love Beowulf when I read it, It was alright. And this is a retelling, but from Beowulf's niece perspective. As, she had wanted to be a shield maiden her whole life, but in a childhood, her whole life as childhood, in an accident, she was, told that she wouldn't be able to because something, she would no longer be fit enough to do that. And then another one that's a literary fiction fantasy type retelling, because it is a Jane Austen retelling, but it has witches and stuff. It is The Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennet Witch by Melinda Taub. I figure a lot of people are probably going to like this as well. On the 24th, we have A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is the conclusion to the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Still haven't started it. That's why it has to be just an honorable mention. And on October 31st, A Destiny in Ash by Julie Xantopoulos is also the conclusion to the In Ash trilogy. Hey, Sunshine. This is an honorable mention for me because the second book, the way it ended, I didn't like it very much. And then the description for the third book, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. So we'll have to find out. I liked the first book enough, though. I did. Can I describe the first book? No. Now moving into November, with the first one being on November 7th, is The Darkness Before Them by Matthew Ward. It's going to be the first in an epic fantasy action-packed trilogy. Where to start? Okay. These are dark times for the kingdom of Khalid, maybe. As the magical mists of the veil devour the land, the populace struggles beneath the rule of ruthless noble houses and their uncaring immortal king. Kat doesn't care about any of that. A talented thief, she's pursuing one big score that will settle the debt that destroyed her family. No easy feat in a realm where indentured spirits hold vigil over every vault and treasure room. However, Kat has a unique gift. She can speak to those spirits and even command them. She'll need every advantage she can get. Kat is not a hero. She just wants to be free, to have her old life back. But as a rebellion rekindles, the war for Khalad's future begins. Everyone, Kat included, will have to pick a side. Well, that went well. Also, on November 7th is going to be Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This one is, of course, the prequel to Legends and Lattes. With it, while I kind of am anticipating it, I want to read it, I want the cozy, because he did really good with the cozy fantasy. I loved it. But, prequel. I think I would rather have had a separate standalone in the world where somebody who had just met Viv at her coffee shop and it been like transformed their life and go off and start their own bookshop. In this though, this is I guess kind of what set Viv on the path to her coffee shop, except not the latte thing, because the latte we heard that was in a different city. But this one is when she's still a mercenary, like pretty new in the career, and she's had an injury and she has to go take a recovery. She's left here and she finds this bookshop and she spends a lot of time there reading, and just that's going to be the cozy. Like I said, it might do okay, but we already know Viv's backstory kind of. We already got that in the last book, so I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. There's another cozy that I'll talk about that comes out on the 14th that I think I would actually am anticipating a little bit more, because it is more of an original than this. Whatever. But also on the 7th is Tonight I Burn by Catherine J. Adams. This one sounds cool and I can't wait to read it. Thorns, Tides, Embers, Storms, and Oars. Oars? All 5 covens are bound in servitude to the tyrant High Warden of House Step. Penny Albright is the daughter of the Thorn Coven, forced to patrol the veil between the realms of life and death. Each night, one Thorn Witch, and only one, must cross the veil by the burning at the stake. Each morning, that witch draws on their magic to return. Failure to follow the rules risks the veil and risks them all. But one morning, Penny's favorite sister Ella doesn't return, and that night, determined to find her, Penny breaks the rules. She burns in secret, and she discovers that all isn't as it seems for in life or death. Her journey leads her to Malin, a devastating lord with too many secrets, to Alice, a mysterious captive prophet, and to a rebellion brewing in the shadows beneath the city. And as Penny's world splits, she'll face a devastating choice, because it's not just her sister's life that hangs in the balance, it's the fate of all magic. If you watch my wrap-up, you would probably find this surprising, but The Hunting Moon comes out on the 7th, and I want to read it enough to find answers to the things that happened at the end of the book, what we were shown. I had a lot of problems with the luminaries. A lot of problems. It just... But it did do good things too. So I'm going to read this one and give it some more shot, because it's a trilogy and I really don't know if I'll read all three. But I'm going to give it a chance to give me the answers that I want. In this one, though, there is a secret group of people known as the luminaries, and around the world where there are spirits sleeping, there are cities of luminaries, and they go out at night and fight off the monsters that the sleeping spirits create, the nightmares pretty much. And they protect the normal world that they just call nons from ever knowing of this magical existence. But there are also people who do know about it that are not luminaries. They're called Dianas instead of witches. And they wish to use the power of the spirits for other purposes. So there's that. There's a kind of war between them. And our main character is Winnie Wednesday, whose real name is Winifred Wednesday. Yeah. And she's trying to get her family back in the good graces of her clan, the Wednesdays, after a betrayal by her father led to her mom, her brother, and her being outcast. She was 12 and she was outcasted by her clan, and now she's trying to take the hunter exams to be a nightmare hunter and gain back the favor of the clan for her family. And yeah, things are not as they seem, though. Things are not as they seem. That's all we're going to say. On the 14th, though, we have The Narrow Road Between Desires by Patrick J. Rothfuss. This one is following Bast, and it is kind of an expanding on a story he's written before about Bast, and it all takes place over the course of one day. I don't love the Kingkiller Chronicles, but it is a very interesting world, and I like enough of it. And though, no, I don't think this will give me anything that I actually want. Maybe it'll be interesting. Like a slow consideration for quiet things, right? I really wish we could have seen more of her. Like, how did she get like that? What happened to her? That's what I kind of wanted from that, but that's not what we got. We got a day in the life of, oh my gosh, I can't remember her name right now. And it really kind of was, it was sweet, and yet it was also kind of sad. And yeah. And then the other one for the 14th, though, is one that I'd heard about over on Bookstagram, and this does sound cozy, and just hearing the author promote it and seeing her promote it, and so yeah, I'm actually excited about this one. It is A Fellowship of Baker's Magic by J. Penner. It's a human, a dwarf, and an elf walk into a bake-off. In the heart of Aidenshire, where elfish enchantments and dwarven delights rule, Arletta Starstone, a human confectionist, works twice as hard perfecting her unique blend of baking and apothecary herbs. So when an orc neighbor secretly enters her creations into the prestigious elven baking battle, Arletta faces a dilemma. Being magicless, her participation in the competition could draw more scales than smiles. And if Arletta wants to prove her talent and establish her culinary reputation, this human will need more than just her pastry craft to sweeten the odds. While competing, she'll set off on a journey of mouth-watering pastries, self-discovery, heartwarming friendships, and romance, while questioning whether winning the baking battle is the true prize. Escape to a delightful, cozy fantasy where every twist is a treat and every turn is a step closer to home. And the author herself describes it as like The Hobbit meets the British Bake Off meets the Princess Bride. So like, I am down to try something that sounds like that. Yep. Much smaller list, yeah. And maybe I went too heavy with October, I don't know. For November's honorable mentions, though, coming out on the 7th, we have Slay by Laurel K. Hamilton. This is book 30 in the Anita Blake Vampire series. I don't even remember who this one follows. But if you're a follower of Anita Blake, there's another one coming out. Then we have Murtaugh by Christopher Paolini, and this one is supposed to be set a year after the Inheritance Cycle events, as this character and his dragon are facing the backlash of that, because apparently he's not very liked. Okay, so with the Inheritance Cycle, I read Aragon. I liked it. That was way back then. I started the second book. I don't even think I finished the second book. Maybe if I went back and read it now, I don't know. I don't know if I would go, I really don't know. I can't say. So I never finished the Inheritance Cycle. This is why it has to be an honorable mention. Then also on the 7th is The Vengeance of the Pirate Queen by Tricia Levenseller. This is book 3 in the series, and it is following Sorinda, which she said was one of the fan favorite characters. I haven't read this, but I have heard a lot of love for this series. So book 3, following another character, is coming out. On the 20th, we have Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Still need to read Fourth Wing. Oh my gosh. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my physical copy. It will show up eventually. Eventually. And then also on the 20th is Defiant by Brandon Sanderson. And this is the conclusion of the first set of the Skyward series before it goes into Skyward Legacy, being written by Yancey Peterson? He said her name. I don't remember. But this is the conclusion, I think, of Spence's story and our original fight for the survival of the human race that is on this planet. They're kind of trapped on this planet by invaders that come from the sky. So their spaceship force pilots are kind of the most important people as they go help protect the cities. Most of the cities are underground on this planet, but they have started to try to build because, you know, they need room and they need places to grow plants and things and try to survive more than just underground. And this is Spence's goal. She wants to be a pilot in the first book, not this one, first book. And she can't because her father was a pilot and he became disgraced and he died. Yeah, he died in disgrace, and so they don't want to let her. But she, you know, it's her goal. She's going to do it. And she does manage to get into the academy. And events unfold. Things come to light. Moving into December, and yeah, October was apparently the month I was most excited for because November felt smaller and December is just so tiny, so tiny. On the 5th, though, This Cursed Light by Emily Thede comes out. This is a YA fantasy. It is, yes, it's going to be a duology. It's the last Fenestra duology. And this one, I love that it was a different take and it was a different kind of themed magic system or setting. I really enjoyed it. Our main character, whose name I don't remember right now though, is the Fenestra. She is the one girl chosen to fight off the waves of destruction that come towards their island. Once a generation. It happens on a timetable though, where these waves of destruction will come. They are not the only island. Like from the description, you think that this is happening, but no, you find out in the book that there are others, and this you know, they do things in other places. But it is almost time for this storm of destruction and monstrousness to come. And unfortunately, our Fenestra does not have her partner because she is supposed to have a partner through this, a husband partner that helps her fight off the waves, that stands by her side. And she is now buried three husbands because her power is just so very strong. It's just like sucking the life out of them. So they are trying to find her, the last one that will be able to work with her before the wave comes here. And the people are kind of, you know, doubting that she's going to be able to do it. And there's this uprising of a church that's saying, you know, that's because she's not the true Fenestra. She is sent by the enemy. She will lead to all of our doom. You should take her out. And so she has to hire a bodyguard because people keep trying to break in and kill her. And he is helping her control that though. And secrets are found out and love, and I am doing a horrible job of describing it, I think, but it was really good. And the way she found out how to use her powers and the way that they stood up to the waves, it was different and it was really good. It made sense. And I liked what you found out, and hoping that the next book will continue down this line of what they were trying to piece together. Yes, this is cool. If that could be the answer to everything, cool. I like it. I like it a lot. And now we're into the honorable mentions for December already. Don't flip over. First, we're starting with Escharodon by Michael J. Sullivan. It's this says it's a hero to some, a villain to many, the truth forever buried. The man who became known as Escharodon is reported to have destroyed the world's greatest empire, but there are those who believe he saved it. Few individuals are as as divisive, but all agree on the 3 facts. He was exiled to the wilderness, hunted by a goblin priestess, and sentenced to death by a god, all before the age of 8. How he managed to survive and why people continue to fear his name 1,000 years later has always been a mystery, until now. This is supposed to be the final novel in the Rise and Fall trilogy, and this is set between the Legends of the First Empire and the Rhaenyra books. So that's why I had to put it in honorable mention, because it does fall in between this saga of books he has set in different trilogies, which I heard so many good things about. And I did read that description because it, even from someone who hasn't read any of that, it doesn't really feel connected. Maybe it's a little bit connected. I don't know, but it doesn't give you much. So I really should start this series probably. And then, and her last book is one that so many people will probably be excited about, but not me. It comes out on December 26th, or at least that's when it's slated to now. And this is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals. I think it's slated to be a duology still, so this is a sequel conclusion to Divine Rivals. This book exploded and so many people loved it. The premise was cool. That's why I wanted to read it. But I didn't like it. So, in this though, we follow Iris Winnow and Roman Kit. You don't know you're following Roman until you start the book. I liked Roman's chapters way better than Iris's. But Iris believes that she is writing to her brother at the front of where the gods are battling. So the army has been sent out to battle the army of the other god. And she believes she's writing to her brother with her typewriter when she, I don't remember what happened at first, but she had written him out a letter and then she stuck it under her wardrobe door, or she stuck it in her wardrobe or something to be able to send it later. And then she ends up getting a letter back, and so she believes it's her brother writing to it. She doesn't know how the magic is working, but magic's a thing. So, you know, when gods walk around, magic's a thing. We understand this. A lot of the buildings are actually magical. There's that. And as it goes on, she does discover she's not writing to her brother, but she doesn't discover who she's writing to. And she, you know, they form a bond, they're close. She's a journalist. And she ends up going to the front to really report on the war, because the town they live in, they're not reporting the facts of the war so much. It's very, they believe they're separate from the war that's happening, but they're not that separated. There's not a lot of honesty with the paper there of how, you know, far removed from it they are. So she goes to the front to be a war correspondent because she feels that's more accurate and she can tell more of the truth. She wants to be able to tell more of the truth and to find her brother, because she still hasn't heard from her brother since he left. And yeah, I think talking about the other point gives too much away, and it doesn't really say that part. Does it say that part in the description? I don't know. My biggest thing with this is I didn't like Iris, and I did not think that she deserved him. He was a good guy. He was a good person. She does not deserve him. That was mostly what happened. So yeah. Okay, everybody loved this book. My opinion is not with the majority of people. Well, that is all. I'm sorry December was so small. I do hope though that maybe we will find more in December, like more will be announced, or they'll just pop up. I don't know, maybe announce in the right word. Some things I feel like they announce ahead of time, some things I feel like they don't. I don't know how that works. I tried to find more for December, I really did. And I feel like I found more in September when I couldn't before. I'm off topic. If you jumped around though, or you watched the whole thing, thank you, because it was probably long. And I hope you enjoyed it, found something that you want for pickup on this list, a TBR, pile, future orders, things. Conclusions to things especially. I'm so happy we're getting conclusions to things and answers soon. Thank you guys so much though for clicking it. I really enjoy making these. Is that the right thing to say? I don't know anymore. My mouth is getting ahead of me. If this is your first video though, I hope you liked it and you'll consider watching more of them and subscribing so you can stick around for future new release videos that we do every Monday. Or any of the book reviews like Starter Villain, because that was pretty good, or Mr. Magic. That one was really good too. Thank you so much for being here though. I hope you're finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.